Hey, what's up guys? This is the video for section 4.2, which is writing equations in slope-intercept form. So remember that I mentioned in a few videos ago that you need to learn three different forms. One is a standard form, the other one is a slope-intercept form, and there's a third one where you guys need the point-slope form. But let's go ahead and look at what is the slope-intercept form and how do you use it, and what do you need to write the equation. So remember, slope-intercept form, first of all, is y equals mx plus b. M is going to be your slope, and b is your y-intercept. So let me put here, m is my slope, and on the previous video, you learned that slope is rise over run, and b is your y-intercept, and that is where the line crosses the y-axis, y-int for intercept. When we don't have a slope, or not a slope, when we don't have a graph, we cannot really find the slope right away. So we're going to have to use a little formula to find the slope from 2 points. So that's why I have the formula here. The formula to find the slope when you have 2 points is m for slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So I'm just going to give you guys an example here. Let's say you have a point -1 and 2, and you have another point at 3 and, 9. So we have 2 different points, -1, positive 2, and 3 and 9. And using those numbers, you guys will substitute and you can find the actual slope. And let me just label what you need to know for the formula. This is my x1, which is the x for the first point, y1, which is the y for the first point, x2 for the second point, and y2 for the second point. So we are going to practice a little bit in a few moments, but just make sure that you guys also remember the actual formula for the slope when you don't have a graph, y2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, so let's try some examples. So here, the slope is already given to us, if you guys see the 2 examples. And the instruction says we want to write an equation. So let me circle the word write an equation. And it's very important that you guys know it is in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Y has to be by itself. I'm going to do the one on the right side to show you guys how to write that equation. So let me just zoom in here. And notice that they give us the slope. My slope for this line is -1/2. So this number right here is your m. So I'm going to put m equals -1/2. For my formula, the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we need 2 things. We need the slope and we need the y-intercept. Well, guess what? We already have the slope. It's given, -1/2. The only thing that we are missing is the b, the y-intercept. They give us a point the line goes through, but they don't tell us where it crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to put a box around the b here, so you guys know that that's what we are missing. We do have the slope. My slope is over here, and I'm going to underline m. I know what that is. So I'm going to start writing the actual answer, but remember that we are missing the b. So let me put my answer here. Y equals m, which is -1/2, x, and we need to find b. So let me show you guys how to find b using the point. So to find b, we are going to use the same formula. So I'm going to put b here. I'm going to use the same formula, y equals mx plus b, but I am going to substitute 3 numbers. So first, let's write down the formula. Y equals mx plus b. The first number we're going to substitute is the actual slope that is given. Then we need the y and the x from the given point that is up here. So if you notice at the point 4, 2, okay, we have those 2 numbers. We have x and we have the y. So I'm going to substitute the x, the y, and the slope, and then I can solve for b, which is what we are missing. So y is 2 equals m is -1/2, x is 4 plus b. So 2 equals negative 2 when you multiply negative 1/2 times 4. Negative 2 plus b. You guys solve. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So 4 equals b. All right, now we know what that number is. So I'm going to go back to my answer. This one is kind of like half done because we have y equals negative 1/2 x. Now we know what number to put here. Positive 4. So I'm going to put plus 4. B can be negative. B can be positive. B can be a fraction. B can be a decimal. For the most cases, we try to avoid fractions. So you might get whole numbers most of the time. But there's a few times where you might get a fraction. So be careful with those numbers. Okay, so this example is how to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Notice y equals mx plus b. Y is by itself, using the slope that is given and the point that the line goes through. Let me just bring this down. And notice the point has an x value, a y value, and we have the m. So now let's do one where the slope is not given. So we have to find the slope, then we have to find the y-intercept b in order to write down our answer. So look at this example. Once again, the instruction says you want to write an equation. So those examples, no slope is given, no slope is given. So I am going to find the slope first. Then I'm going to find the y-intercept, and then I'm going to write my answer. So first of all, let's go ahead and remember what the slope-intercept form is. So I'm just going to put it on the side here. This is what we're looking for. Y is by itself. Y equals mx plus the b. So first, I'm going to look for my slope, m. So I'm going to label my x1. So I'm going to go to my first point, x1 and y1. I go to my second point, x2 and the y2. I use my formula. And just in case you guys forget or you don't remember the formula, here it is. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'm going to substitute the numbers. So y sub 2 is 3 minus y sub 1 is negative 3. Notice I have double negatives. Be careful with those signs. On the bottom, x sub 2 is negative 2 minus x sub 1 is negative 1. So I am going to keep change, or you guys do negative times a negative. So the answer on the top is going to be 6, and the answer on the bottom is going to be a negative 1. When you guys write down the equation, you don't need a fraction. So I'm just going to turn this into a negative 6. 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. All right. So we got m. Here it is. Now we need b. So to find b, we are going to use the formula. We are going to use x and y. We're going to substitute, and then we are going to end the slope, and we're going to substitute, and then we're going to solve for b. So now we are going to find b. When you guys have the slope already, so I'm just going to circle the slope right here. This is my slope. I'm going to start substituting to the formula y equals mx plus b. And then I'm going to take one of the points that is given to us. So we have this point here, we have this point here, and you choose one, and we are going to use the x and the y for that point. Doesn't matter what point you guys choose, you guys will get the same answer when you guys find the b. So I'm going to choose the first one, negative 1, negative 3. I'm going to put that point here, and I'm going to label the x and the y. So I know the x is the negative 1 and the y is negative 3. So the formula, I'm going to take the numbers that I already have, and I'm going to substitute, and I'm going to solve for b. Remember that we are solving for this variable, and everything else you already have a number. So I'm going to put a negative 3 for the y. I'm going to put a negative 6 for the slope. That's what we got. And I'm going to put a negative 1 for the x. So there's a negative 1. And I do have a plus b over here. So you guys solve for b. I'm just going to multiply here, positive 6 plus b. You guys subtract 6 from both sides. So we get negative 9 equals, cancels b. So we do have the value of b. Now you guys put everything together. Remember that we are using the formula up here, which is y equals the one over here, mx plus b. So we are going to keep the y, we are going to keep the x, but you guys substitute the m and the b. So we have y equals m is -6, x, and then b is -9, and we're done. That is the equation in slope-intercept form. Y is by itself, we have the slope and the y-intercept. Now this one here is the same thing. You want to find the equation of the line that passes through those 2 points, and we want the slope-intercept form, so y has to be by itself. So my first step is to find my slope, and the formula, once again, is y2 minus y1, and we have over x2 minus x sub 1. And I'm just going to label the numbers again. My first point is x1, my y1. Second point is x2 and the y2. So when you guys substitute, we get 2 minus a -2. And on the bottom, 5 minus a -5. And we need to change our signs, double negatives right here. So plus, 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 it changes to positive. And that is m equals, on the top we have a 4, and on the bottom we have a 10. Now you guys can reduce the fraction. When you guys reduce the fraction, we actually get 2 over 5. You guys can divide by 2, 4 divided by 2, and 10 divided by 2. So we have 2 over 5. So that's my slope. Now I'm going to find b. Now to find b, we need to choose one point. Doesn't matter which one. I always like to avoid negatives, so I am going to choose the one with the positive numbers. So I'm going to write down the numbers here, 5 and 2, and I'm going to label my x and my y, because when I use the formula, y equals mx plus b, I need to know which one is the x and the y. So let's go ahead and substitute. So here's the formula. I have y, I have x, so here's the y, I have the x, and the m is right here, a fraction. So we will have 2 is the y equals 2 over 5 is the slope, and I'm going to multiply by x, which is 5, and plus b. So when you guys simplify, 2 equals, you multiply 2 times 5, that's 10, and you guys keep the denominator, plus b. So 2 equals 2 plus b, and subtract 2 from both sides. So 0 equals b. So what does it mean when b equals 0? You won't have a number for b. So when you guys put your answers together, you start with the y. Here's the y equals, my slope is 2 over 5. So I put 2 over 5 x, and then b is 0. So technically, well, mathematically, with numbers, you can have a plus 0, but we don't need it. When you guys have a plus 0 or a minus 0, we don't need to put that in there. So the answer is just y equals 2 over 5x. Alright guys, I'm going to stop here for this video, and I will make a second part of this section, writing equations slope-intercept form. So make sure you guys check out that video, and make sure you guys practice, and I'll see you guys later.